Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sql Friday. This is Sql Friday number 21, and our guest or star today is Mikey Bronowski, who I think is presenting from the UK. I think you said you're back in the UK,
Yes, that's correct.
stuck in Poland. Maybe that's not a bad thing, but you were for a few months. Life is different these days. Before we start, I'm going to mention a few things. The first one is that the call for speakers for Sql Friday 2021 is open, and it's going to stay open until 5th of November, or I might extend it a bit too. It depends on how many submissions I get into it. So if you feel like speaking on Sql Friday, then just go to sessionize.com/SQL Friday with a dash between SQL and Friday. You don't have to be an MVP or a very seasoned speaker. You can do this as your first time. If you want some help with just going through the presentation, that's okay too. I'm happy to help. If you are a very seasoned speaker, that's okay too. I like the way we have done Sql Friday this year. The schedule is a mix of new speakers and speakers who do their, millionth talk. And I think there is going to be room for all of that. I would like to see some more diversity in the schedule. So I'm going to do a push to get especially more women to speak because it's very much white male dominated as it is this year, which isn't, I'm not going to say it's normal, but it's common on a data conference or a data event. I would like it to change gradually at least. This is happening today, the International Edition DBCC 2020. DBCC stands for Data Plaster Community Conference, and it's a past group in Germany running it, but it's all in English. So they have a lunch break now, but if you feel like spending the rest of the Friday listening to interesting talks about data platform, then just go to sqlpass.de/DBCC International Edition. And a few more events coming up. We have the PASS Virtual Summit, first time ever that they do it as a virtual conference. It, of course, makes sense. You don't want people to travel to Texas, where it should have been. So they went virtual, and it's a really impressive schedule. Tons of good pre-cons and regular talks. So if you never went to PASS Summit, this is your chance to do it a lot cheaper than both the conference fee is cheaper or lower, then you don't have to do the traveling and lodging. So the Data Platform Summit is also coming up in December. So dataplatformgeeks.com/DPS 2020. Also very low cost conference, 200 sessions. I think they have 60 Microsoft sessions, so it's going to be an interesting one. And finally, have a look at sqlfriday.net/schedule if you want to see what's coming up. I'm going to create the meetup events for the coming weeks, so you can register as well. Next week is Javier Villegas, who is going to talk about the new features in SQL Server 2019. And with that said, I'm going to shut up and say welcome to Mikey Bronowski. The stage is all yours, Mikey. Your own introduction. I'm happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me in your little conference. So I'm going to share my screen now. Please let me know when you see my screen.
I see your screen.
Perfect. So hello everyone, good morning. Is it morning? It's, yeah, it might be afternoon already in some part of Europe. I'm going to talk to you about multi-server agent job administrations, and I might do this with some happy faces and pigeons. And my name is Mikey Bronowski. I'm a husband and a father of Arthur, who is 1 year and a half old. Professionally, I'm SQL DBA for over 10 years. Now, currently working in the UK in Hampshire. I'm also a data community member, formerly in Poland in different cities when I was living, and then when I moved to the UK a few years ago in Leeds, and now in Southampton. I'm also AI Tech North Ambassador. If you're not aware of the event, it is the AI conference that happened a few weeks ago, and it is based in Leeds. So there were already 2 conferences like that. So I'm helping out from where I can. If you want to contact me after the session, you can just use Mikey Bronowski without the space on Gmail, Twitter, LinkedIn, or GitHub. I also have a blog on bronowski.it/blog if you want to read some other stuff I work on or just share. So agenda for today is to tell you what is the MSX, TSX multi-server job administration. Why would you need or like to use it, and how you can use it in your day-to-day work, or how you can configure that either from Management Studio or with some PowerShell magic. And here's the pigeon. I will tell you at the end, don't be a pigeon, and I want you to remember that thing. So that's all for now about the pigeons. So let's start with CMS, which stands for Central Management Server, and the server groups. What is the CMS? That's the place or repository, or not repository, inventory, where you can keep your servers, instances registered. It can be either local server group on your laptop, on your machine, on your jump server, where you keep your servers, your SQL Server instances, or reporting server servers, or analysis servers, or integration services. It can be also the Central Management Server, which is the dedicated SQL Server instance where you add your machines. So whoever has access to that server will see the list of other instances. It works well for group of DBAs, where there's one place where everyone can see all the servers that are in the company. Probably depend on the size, probably depend on the tools you are using, but that's one of the places where you can store the information and share for everyone. And I show you quickly how you can do this in Management Studio. So I'll switch to my second virtual machine, which is a Windows server, and it is also my domain controller. So that is not the best practice configuration. It is a domain controller, and it has 5 SQL instances, because just yesterday one of my instances expired. So I had to install one more. So I'm in Management Studio, and if you go to the view at registered servers, you'll see the list of registered servers, and there are different types of services, SQL services like analysis services, reporting services, and integration services. We'll focus on SQL Server right now. The local server group is just for your machine, and CMS, Central Management Servers, is for you to share. So my server would be my DC01, which is the same machine, so it can be even. And I'm going to test it. The connection is successful and save it. And right now, I have the server registered, but it's empty. I didn't add anything. So you can add servers there by adding either new server registration. So you will just add server straight away to the CMS. Just test it. Yep, save. Or you can organize the servers in the groups, like new server group, new server group. Okay, and then we can register another server. And this is the reason for that error is that because my CMS is a DC01, so I cannot add the CMS to itself. So I would need to add different. I can add the same instance that I added before, and it will be perfectly fine. So this is how you do the management CMS. Why it's useful? Let's see. We can add one more registration. Let's say this one. And now we can run query on the group, against the group of servers. So if I now run the query, select server name and version. As a result, I will get the server name column, which comes from CMS, the server name that comes from my query, and the version that comes from my query as well. So this way you can run one query against multiple servers. There is also a way, I will just drop this, there's also a way to configure CMS using some PowerShell, which is, it might be easier, because if you only have few instances, doing this manually will be perfectly fine. But if you have hundreds of servers, and let's say you want to categorize them based on the environment and then based on the application, so you would have top folders would be development, test, stage, prod, and then inside each folder you would have application 1 for finance, application 1 for payroll, and so on. Or some other would like to see first payroll, finance, and inside those folders test, dev, stage. So we'd have to do this manually, which might be a bit of a problem if you have hundreds of instances, and it's not uncommon to have these numbers at the company. So I'm going to use dbatools. Just ignore this beautiful path I've made here. I just wanted to be sure that data Scotland is visible. And I'm going to use dbatools. So let's first clear up some variables. And I'm going to use the CMS, which is my DC01, my domain controller, my registered server 04, which is SQL 2014, 06 2016, 09 is my new instance, which I installed last night because the old one just expired. And I'm going to use a few functions from dbatools. I hope you're familiar with dbatools. If not, you can learn more from the website dbatools.io, or if you want to even go deeper, you can have a look at the book that they are creating right now. So the book is in progress, but you can have a look at some of the chapters already. And dbatools is the PowerShell module, which is basically someone called it as management studio, a command line management studio. And if you want to read about this, you can go to my blog as well. And I created a series of comparison between Management Studio and dbatools. So I'm going to use the first function, which is get dba reg server group, and I'm going to contact my CMS server, but that doesn't return anything because I didn't configure anything yet. I just removed the old CMS before. Just to make sure, I'm going to see if there are any servers. We don't have groups, no servers. Perfect. So now I'm going to use different function. It is add dba reg server group. So I'm going to add the group. The parameters of that functions are SQL instance, which is the CMS. CMS name, not the you are going to add, the group name and description. So I'm going to run this. I get a confirmation I've created. I'm going to add some subgroups. So in order to add a subfolder or child to this folder here to the O1 dev, I'm going to use the same function, almost the same parameters, just one more parameter, which is called group, to point it to this previous folder. So I'm going to add a few more folders, and to make it more interesting, I'm going to add a few more groups and subgroups. And now go back to get reg server groups. So I'm going to get some details about the groups like that. So that is the top folder. That is the reference to the subfolder inside dev to the folder finance, and so on. So let's see what we have there. Yep, we have a confirmation of the folders, and we can also add few more servers as well. Let's see first how it looks like in Management Studio. So I need to refresh my view as I added some folders. And you can see the folders are here, subfolders are here. Looks perfectly fine. If you would like to create this manually, it will take some time. But with dbatools, it's just a matter of few fractions of a second. So now I'm going to add the servers. To do that, I'm using the add dba reg server function, which has the parameter SQL instance, which is actually the CMS, and server name is my registered server. So I'm using the variables here as I defined before. So it will be 2014, 2016, 2019, 2019 with a custom name, and some custom names as well here. And one of the errors I've got is failed to add 2014 on violation of unique key, because I already had one of the servers added, so you cannot add the same server multiple times. You can only add this server multiple times if it has different custom name. Oh, I think, let me see one more. That's the other reason for the failure as well, probably. And let's go back here. yeah, I forgot to define the names, so that's why we've got second error. And now when we refresh, we can see the servers added to the CMS, and we can even do pigeons and penguins if we like to call our servers like that. So not everyone likes emojis, I don't know why. And these are servers straight under the CMS folder, but you can also add them to the group. So in order to do that, we use the same function, add DBA reg server, provide the CMS instance, and we add the group name with this, in this way, like a folder name. So I'm going to add that as well. Similarly, again, error, same server name, no custom name. That's what I mentioned before and showed you because I forgot one thing. Again, refresh, and we can see the servers are in the under the subfolders. So again, it took only a few seconds to create this beautiful CMS. If you have more servers, it will only be a matter of running the script, and the script can be kept in the source control, and you can, if there's a new DBA coming or needs to rebuild the CMS or need to move it somewhere or something happens, as in IT it happens, you just run the script again and it's all there. And with the functions get reg server group, we can see all these groups again and all these servers. All the servers are here, and including the group name, which is beautiful. You can export that as well using PowerShell, pipe it into some CSV file or TXT. And note this switch include self, that will add at the bottom details about the CMS itself. So you can export that and know some information about CMS. And that's about it about CMS. If you have any questions, please maybe put them in the chat, and I would like to ask Magnus to let me know if there are any. And few notes about permissions for CMS. It's for AD authentication only, so it won't work with SQL accounts, SQL logins. And to be able to manipulate the servers, you need to have permission in server group administrator role in MSDB. And in order to see the servers, you just need to have server group reader role in MSDB. And this is MSDB icon, which looks like a hamburger. Some people say that TempDB is public toilet. I thought about MSDB, and when I was creating that presentation for the first time, I got really hungry. So that's how the new database icon looks like for me. Now, if we don't have any questions about CMS, I will carry on with the MSX and TSX.
So far. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So MSX stands for master server, and TSX stands for target server. That's how it's named in the documentation. And it is a hidden feature of SQL Server. I've only found out about it maybe in 2018. I I was about to move to the UK, and I was reading some tweets from my new manager, and he was mentioning MSX. And when I joined the company, the MSX was in place and it was being used quite often. So thank you, Dan, for introducing the MSX to me. And it was there probably, but not many people know about this feature. So what is the MSX? The master server keeps the definition of the agent jobs in one place. It works like relation one-to-many, so we can have one master server and multiple target servers linked to this master, and one target cannot be assigned to multiple master servers. So it is just like this picture of a girl you see feeding pigeons, one girl feeding multiple pigeons. And it can work up to 3 versions below the current version. So let's say you have Sql 2017, you can support, you can use it for working with servers, target servers to up to 2012, 2016 to 14, yeah, 2012. So that's a broad spectrum of the support as well. And if you need for older servers, that might be tricky sometimes. But also the logic for jobs might not be the same for newer servers as for old servers. Like for new servers, the tokens for agents might be different, or they exist in new versions where they don't in older servers. And what is this about and the pigeons? So let's say this little girl is a master server that sends instructions to the targets, which are the pigeons. She only gives it to them and they pick it up. And for years, I've been that pigeon. So I was jumping from SQL instance to SQL instance, fixing jobs. And even though I had hundreds of the same servers, I was trying to figure out a way how I can make them look the same or have the same logic. But if you are part of the bigger team, it's difficult to control and check that the jobs are exactly the same on each server. Sometimes it might be the case that someone changes something, some job logic for one server because there was an issue. Let's say I've been called out at night, 2 a.m. I need to fix it right now. I fixed it and I just forgot about this, but the 5 other instances are working the same matter and they would like the same change to be made, but I just forgot about this. And with MSX, you can make the change on the master server and the change will be pushed to the targets. So don't be a pigeon. Don't go from one server to another. Just be like that girl, send the instructions to your pigeons. And why would you like to use, besides the reasons I said? So sometimes you use the setup for always on availability groups, and you might have 4 instances combined together in one environment, and the jobs are set up on each node, on each replica. And if you fail over from one to another and you change something, let's say you have a backup job that is pointing to the specific location, like OLAS script, and someone changed that location because it was faulty. Storage team called, well, we have a problem with this location. Can you direct your backups to different location, you change that on the primary, and you just forget about the secondary because the backup is not running there anyway right now. But after 2 weeks, someone does the planned failover to secondary replica, and the change is not in place for the backup, and the backup starts failing, or if you don't notice, the transaction logs are failing, and it may create an issue. So with the MSX, you just create one job, one logic that takes care of the AG to determine which server is primary or not, and then you have it on every replica. And other things are it's easy to move the jobs to create a new MSX server. So you can keep the all the jobs, the logic, the scripts in one place. Let's say a repository, GitHub, or some other solution. And when you need it, you deploy it to the MSX, and then you quickly restore the functionality. And you can migrate the servers as well to the server to make it master, and just work this way instead of trying to figure out what was there on this specific instance. And it also blocks some users from changing the jobs. So let's say you have a different team that is working on your environment. You are DBA, you have full permissions, but there is another team that also requires full permissions, or for some reason has full permissions, and they can change jobs whenever they want. So with the MSX, you can control that you have access to MSX to master server, and the target servers will get just the definition of the jobs, and no one will be able to change it. And now I'm going to show you how you can do this in Management Studio. So we have our pigeons, and I think I've cleaned this up. Yes. Oh, and I just forgot to mention that there's another set of functions: remove DBA reg server group and remove DBA reg server to clean up the registered servers. Yeah, so refresh, that's empty. Perfect. In order to start doing something, we need to connect to some of the instances. So I'm going to make DCO1 my master, and where to find it. It's not that obvious. So it's related to jobs, so probably under agent, but where is it? And I have a set of jobs here. And if you right click on a SQL Server agent, there is a context menu option, multi-server administration. And you have two options: make this a master or make this a target. So I'm going to select master, and there's a wizard telling you what we are going to do. There will be an operator for multi-server job notifications, which is called MSX operator. You can it will start the service SQL Server agent, and you can add the target servers as well. So that's the setup for operator. Now I'm going to use some servers. So if you have CMS, I don't right now because I've deleted all of this. You can easily add things from here. Like you can add the whole group as target servers, and I can add manually the server here, and I'm going to click next. It will check the compatibility, which is different check than the one about the 3 versions below. I think it's always passes. Close. Now we are going to create new login on the target and new login, sorry, on the master, and assign the roles on the MSX. So this is the summary: creating the MSX operator, making sure the agent on master is running, making sure that the startup account for agent on a target has proper rights on master server, and enlisting this to DC01. And when you start doing this for the first time, most likely you will get an error like this. All passes, but this one will fail. And what it does, what it means is make sure the MSX encrypt channel options registry subkey set, sorry, excuse me, is set correctly on the target server. So you need to change the settings of the value of these options to be able to add this server. So I'm going to here now, and the values for that option parameter is 0, disables encryption between the target and master. 1 enables encryption only between this target server and the master, and 2 enables full SSL encryption and certificate validation. And by default, it's 2. And Chrissy Lemaire, who's created dbatools and is writing the book, has written a blog post 7 years ago about safely enabling the multi-server administration for that. So disabling might not be the best option. Just set it to 1 and then it should work fine. And I'm going to, is it my server 2014? I've tried 2014. So I'm going to change the option registry. There is no pretty way to do this. So I'm going to add the SQL instance name and use invoke dba query, which is again dbatools function, to run the first xp reg read and then reg write, which is not here, just below. So 2016. Yeah, reg write is here. And confirmation. So first I'm going to check what is the current value, then what I want to set. It will be 1, and then confirmation. And I broke something. Oh. Okay. So let's see if I can do this here. Let's run the whole script. Yeah, I must missed some options. So basically what it will do for this SQL 14, it was before it was value it was 2, and then I changed it to 1. I was supposed to run the whole script, not just the part. Sorry, let me. So I've changed the option for every instance to 1. So now when I'm going back, I'm going to make a master and adding connection 14. Next, finish. And it completed successfully. Perfect. Now you can notice.
You're still on mute.
Yeah.
Mikey.
I just muted myself. Yeah, I'm back. So you can notice that next to the SQL Server agent on master server, we have the MSX symbol. That means this server is master now. And you can ask yourself, like, what is going on? And on 14, we have on the SQL Server agent TSX next to the agent, and it points what instance is our master. So now I had some jobs on 14. By the way, this is the SQL Watch community tool, and which is you can also install it from dbatools. It's a free monitoring. And now I'm going to. So I have these local jobs here. And I've refreshed the jobs, and now I have 2 subfolders which don't exist in normal circumstances. We have local jobs and multi-server jobs. And because I was doing some tests, it's already there. So I'm going to move this one for having me to the target. So I go to the properties, select targets, and you can see in target there is a local server, but now I'm going to change multiple servers and select my target server, which is 2014, and click OK. I can also show you how the T-SQL looks behind that. So it uses the sproc in MSDB, sp delete job server, and so I'm removing the job server, which is local, because I'm running this on DC, and I'm adding the job server, which is 2014. And after I did this, did I run this? Yeah. This job is gone from the list, and it's here. It's been moved to a different category. And now let's go to 2014, and it's not here. And the reason for that is when you go to the multi-server administration or master, the options will be different. Now we can manage target servers, and you can see there is an unread instruction for 2014. It should be gone probably by now. Oh, it's blocked. Perfect. And that's a perfect case, because sometimes if there are some problems between servers like master and targets, the jobs cannot be downloaded. So there is a message. The step could not be read. See error log, or just job doesn't have any steps, and that's probably the case here. So I'm going to delete that. And this job didn't have any steps. It was just a name on the list. So I'm going to make sure the step here, the job here has a step. Step, select one. Yes, doesn't really matter, I hope. Step, quit, yep. And going to move this job to targets. It's been moved here, and we're going to see the status. It's it's normal. It's normal. The default interval is 60 seconds. We can change it to different intervals, so it can be the master server can be polled more often. And yeah, it's just waiting. Not downloaded, not downloaded. We just need to give it a time. We can enable auto refresh as well, or maybe we can just wait a few seconds. And unread instruction 0. That means the instruction has been inserted, the operation insert has been downloaded by the target server. And now when we go to the target server, we can see our job here. And it doesn't look different on the list. It's one of the jobs, so you don't know straight away this is coming from MSX. So it's worth naming them with the prefix if you want, like MSX and the job name. Or if you go to the list of the jobs, there will be a category, jobs from MSX, which is the category that is coming with the job to the target. And if you want to see the properties of the job, it will be all grayed out. So there is no way, I'm just trying to type something. It's grayed out. You cannot change anything. So if you set up this way, no one will be able to, oh, I see this job, I just want to just do something. You can try to disable that. You cannot add, update, delete job that originated from MSX, which is a kind of a safety feature for the for this environment. And we can also do, so this was all manual, and we can also do some stuff using PowerShell. So I'm going to because this the same thing as with the CMS. If you have only few servers, that's fine to do it manually. But with more of the servers, it make more sense to have some scripts. So I was using this for building new servers. I had a request build 4 new servers within a few days. So I had a script to build the SQL, but then also I had a PowerShell script to add the servers to CMS and add the servers to MSX to master server. Instead of clicking and maybe you forget something or the registry stuff or anything, you just run the script. So I have a script which is going to create target servers, and I'm going to run it without sleep, probably. That will be the best. Maybe we can run the sleep. So I'm just checking the existing servers for this particular name, which is I'm polling the MSX and looking into systarget servers. We can also check this on Management Studio. So my master is DC, and I have 1 server listed. Which is interesting that my query doesn't show it for some reason. a new, is it? Okay, so my variable got goosed, as someone might say. I need to set it up again. Yes, so I can see details from that table. So you go on master, whatever you see in management studio, you can see inside the tables as well. I'm going to set the other variables as well, just in case they were all gone. So now I want to enlist the 2019 instance, which is this one, to the MSX. Using the scripts, I will just show you the process I did for the previous work. And first, we are not able to connect to the agent. That means we need the permissions. That was exactly what the wizard was doing. So I'm going to create a login on master server. So I will just show you quickly in services instead of PowerShell. It should be Sql. You can see my beautiful data domain, data controller. I'm using this account for my agent on new instance. So I need to add this account to master server, which is this one, DCO1, with proper permission. And those proper permission would be target server's role. So now let's try again. There is no problem with the permissions anymore. There is a problem with MSX encrypt channel options, which we've seen before. So I'm going to run this once again. And I know why. Because I've changed the name of the instance. Sorry for that. I think that should work. Yep, because that's my new SQL 19 instance, the one that I've installed yesterday. And we can see what was the option, 1. So I've changed it here to 1. Now I've double checked if it's 1, and I'm going to enlist it finally once again. So I'm going to run this. Let's hope it works. It didn't. And I've noticed sometimes you have to restart the agent on the target server. Oh, no, this one. In order to do this. Sometimes it just needs some time. But if you restart it, it will work. No error for enlisting. And now we can see the target. Yes, finally, and it's about the same time. So I was able to add the MSX, the new target servers. So now when I go to manage target servers, I can see new server. And we also have some other options here, like we can change the polling interval. As I mentioned before, it's 1 minute, but you can change it to 10 seconds. That's the smallest value. And you can do it for all target servers or just specific server if you want. And Let's see one more thing. Oh, not this one, sorry. So it's quite easy using PowerShell if it works. So these arrows I showed you the process. So you need to remember about multiple things, changing the registry to allow the connectivity between targeted servers, adding the agent account to the master, and so on and so on. So, and that's pretty much it. And if you want to see the history of the job, I didn't run the job, so you can kick off the job from here, and it will wait. Again, there's one instruction waiting. The instruction is called start, and after 1 minute, it will the target server will poll the master, and it will kick off the job, and then we can see the history of this job here. Right now, it's just waiting for that minute. And I told you you will see some smiley faces. So you can see hearts and stuff like that, but there is one instance, the new one. I hope it's working because it is brand new. And there is a database, smiley face. If you want to do something, you just go to the smiley face database, and you can go see what tables it has. Oh, it has one table, which is 5 smiley faces. Let's see what's inside. And we have more smiley faces. So we have a smiley face as a column name, 2 smiley faces column name. Then there's a smiley face for a database name, 2 smiley faces for a schema name, and 3 smiley faces for a table name, and all full of smiley faces. And with this smiley faces, I just want to go back to the final slide, which is this one. And today I showed you the CMS and registered servers, just probably a reminder for most of the people, but it is possible to manage it by using the dbatools, Powershell, which is much more convenient than manual way to do this in Management Studio. I told you about master and target servers, the hidden feature of SQL Server that I didn't know 3 years ago. And I showed you the ways how to do it in GUI in Management Studio with T-SQL. You've seen this proc in MSDB, and with dbatools as well, or partially with dbatools, because I don't believe there are dedicated functions for MSX and TSX in dbatools as there are for CMS. And I showed you the emoji in SQL, and I will burn in hell probably for that, but I like smiley faces. And just want you to remember the thing from the beginning: don't be a pigeon, don't go to every server by yourself and try to do it manually. You can use MSX or TSX or CMS, or maybe some other tools, or maybe just PowerShell and dbatools, but make your life easier, and yeah, don't do it manually, like from server to server. Yeah, really, don't be a pigeon, don't go like that. Thank you very much. That's all from me today. I hope you enjoyed that and you learned a little bit about MSX and TSX, which proved me they are very useful and helpful, especially for bigger environments with similar configurations. Again, if you want to contact me, go on Twitter, LinkedIn, GitHub, Gmail, and ignore the bottom of the slide. And if you want to read more about other stuff I was doing, just go to the blog, bronowski.it/blog. Thank you very much. Thank you, Magnus, for having me.
Thanks for coming. I put in a link in the chat with it's a little script that Tibor Karasi, one of the I think longest serving MVPs for the data platform, he has a little script to just put as a first step in a job to wait for a random number of seconds or minutes. It's very useful if you schedule, for example, backups with MSX TSX. You don't really want all your backups to start running at the same second if they target the same SON devices, for example. So you don't want like 20 instances running backups on the same RAID array at the same time. So with this little technique, you can just put the first step to wait a random number of minutes so that they start at kind of random intervals. And that way you can use the same schedule for every instance and just have it not actually start at the same time doing the backups.
That's really true. I've seen a solution like that, a similar solution. It was, I think it was a check if the server name is in this set, run the backup. If not, run it on, and it was checking the time, so it was running constantly, but it was just checking if the server is in this time slot or not. So yeah. It's also useful because in MSX, if the job finished, you can kick off it again, and if the other one is running, it will just wait. Or so yes, but that's a good idea to not run backups in all your servers at the same time.
Yeah, at least nowadays I don't see servers with local disks. They're all on some kind of SON device, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it, but that's how it looks. I'm not going to be able to change any of that, and it's kind of handy. You run out of disk, you just tell someone, give me a terabyte, and you get a terabyte instantly. So it's easier than in the bad old days when we had to go down to the data center and shut down the storage thingy and put some disks in, and life is easier nowadays.
That is true, and we can make it more easier with some other tools as well.
Yeah, I think when it comes to MSX and TSX in dbatools, it's they're very agile in the development of dbatools. So if there are enough people requesting it, they will implement like commandlets for it. I have on my wish list there is some better support for SQL Server transactional replication, and I know they have been adding some of those features, and they're pretty quick to help. I mean, it's there from the community. It's developed by people who have the same challenges we do every day, basically.
Yes, and you can see it. It's very reactive and helpful. So if you have any problem, you just raise a request or an issue on GitHub, and it's going to be addressed soon, very soon. So yeah, if people like MSX and TSX, if there's a demand, just open an issue, and someone will be working on this. Or you can write. Anyone who feels comfortable with that can write a function for the module.
Yeah, that's also the thing. I mean, if you like PowerShell and you feel reasonably comfortable writing PowerShell code, then just clone the repository, create a branch, and add functionality and create a pull request. You need to learn a little bit about how Git works, but it's really easy to contribute. And if your code, it's a good idea, but maybe not the best quality PowerShell, someone will fix it, and then it'll be included in the module eventually.
That's true. There's over 160 contributors, I think.
Yeah,
dbatools. So it's a big number, and it is really helpful. So yeah, if anyone has doubt, just go to dbatools or GitHub. They have some how-to stuff, how to contribute even within a browser. You don't need to have VS Code installed or PowerShell ISE. You can do it from or GitHub. You can do it online on github.com. So
yeah. And I know that, I mean, you can look at presentations from some of the contributors and be like a bit scared. Oh, they're so good, all of them. Because, I mean, you don't have to be Jess Pomfrey or Rob Sewell or Chrissy Lamert to contribute. You can be me, who is like, I wouldn't say I'm very good at PowerShell. I use it a lot. My coding standards are terrible, but I get the job done, and then someone else can help me prettify the code basically, and I'll learn something in the process. So don't be afraid to contribute if you have a good idea. We get some comments here, very useful. Thanks, Mikey. Tack, Magnus. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you everyone for watching, staying till the end.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I like MSX TSX, and I was lucky to start working for the Census Bureau in Sweden in 2011, I think. I started, and they were using it for basically everything: scheduling backup jobs, scheduling index maintenance, and we built on the Ola Hallengren scripts for index maintenance and created. We created scheduling locally. So we had a job that was scheduled with MSX TSX that was running every 5 minutes to check, is it time to do index maintenance on this index? No, it's not, and so on. So we kept like a repository of the schedule, which we pushed out with an MSX TSX job. And then we had another job, which was also scheduled with on all targets to just look at the schedule and see if it's time to run index maintenance. And that way we could put them in kind of a sequence. We didn't run more than 4 or 5 at once. We did the same thing with DBCC check DB integrity checks. But the key there was to have the central management with the master server where we could just publish the jobs and push them out, because we had something like 200 or 300 instances. It wouldn't be possible to do the ClickOps operations in every instance. And I mean, remember, this was 2011. No one used PowerShell.
Yeah, no dbatools.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, not even the Windows admins were very comfortable with PowerShell back then. Now it's the go-to tool for everyone, which I kind of like, because now we don't have to have a user interface on servers anymore. It's just a waste of resources to have the Windows GUI on every server.
And it's easier to keep the code somewhere, just to store it, share it, and someone can just run it, repeat your actions, your steps, instead of clicking everywhere on Windows.
Cool. I'm gonna go and play some probably video games with my son. He's home from school today, so he has been I don't think he has disturbed us much. So it's time for some video games now.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Thank you again, and have a nice day and have a nice play.
Yeah, and you have a nice day. And just a final reminder, if you have something to share. It doesn't have to be you don't have to put in weeks and weeks and weeks into a presentation. If you have something cool to share, then by all means put in your session abstract on sessionize.com/Sql-Friday, and I'm happy to host you sometime in 2021. With that said, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.